Hey, what's up guys? So I was a little iffy about doing the history of the Gintani documentary and about my life and everything. To be honest with you, with the amount of support you guys have shown in the comments and everything I read going on there, it really been something special for me, and I'm so glad that we got to do it, and I'm so glad that we're going to continue doing it. So let's get to the second episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. This is all for the love of cars and the culture. Hopefully we could give you guys more content like this and be a cool channel for you guys to watch. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for liking, subscribing, commenting, and please continue to keep doing that so we can keep doing this for you. Thanks.
So my love of cars came from one person, and that person is my dad. Growing up, I would always look at my dad, look at magazines, watch cars, watch videos, and he was obviously into cars heavily. He's always had really cool cars growing up. Him and his friend, his best friend in Turkey, his name is Livio, have always had some pretty bad stuff. Mustangs, you know, BMW 2002 turbos, and they were known to be the wild ones, just like we were known to be the wild ones here with my brother. And they would be rally racing and doing all kinds of crazy stuff on the, you know, the bridge in Istanbul. And he used to have a 2002 turbo BMW that was sent to Alpina, that was completely built. The sad part is that car got sold and was taken away because of them rallying and doing stuff they weren't supposed to do. And it's one of my dad's biggest regrets. He's always wanted one, so one day hopefully we'll build him one. Watching my dad playing with these cars and teaching me about cars, it was just my favorite thing in the world since I was a baby. The first thing I think I said was probably Porsche. So everybody knew that when I was young, I was gonna end up growing up to do something with cars. I wasn't gonna end up being in jewelry or whatever it was. That's where my love comes from. It all comes from my dad. I honestly thank him for that every single day, for putting that in me, because without him, I would never be in this position, and I would never love cars as much as I do today. But even at a young age, we were always, you know, racing motorcycles, dirt bikes, go-karts. We're constantly, you know, on the street doing crazy stuff with anything that involved the motor. I used to be absolutely obsessed with remote control cars. So I would go to the hobby store. It used to be called Hobby Shack back in the day. And I used to buy these remote control cars, electric or gas, and I would sit there in the garage and literally destroy these things. I'd take them apart and try to make them faster and bore out the engines and put an exhaust pipe on it and change out all the, you know, electronic motors and the speed controllers and stuff to try to make these things go faster, put bigger batteries in them. So I've always had this passion of trying to, you know, take things apart and just make them faster. It's been an obsession. So it started off with, you know, remote control cars, and then it led into taking my go-karts apart and taking my motorcycles apart and messing with throttle cables and building exhaust systems for them, just so I could get a couple more miles per hour out of these things, just so I could feel that, you know, that adrenaline, that rush that I actually did something to make this thing faster.
Hey, what's up guys? So we're at my parents' house right now. This was my first room before my brother moved out. As you can see, red walls, silver. I was obsessed with red, like colors, so we're gonna show you guys some pictures. As you guys can see, stuff has changed since I used to be in this room. There's a crib in here because of the kids, and a bunch of other stuff that's not mine. My brother's kids stay in here now, and my son stays here. All my stuff, as you can see, is in here. And as I opened the drawer, this is great because I was telling you guys I was obsessed with remote control cars. This was one of my favorite remote control cars. It was a Mini Cooper. This thing was fast as hell, all-wheel drive. It's a Tamiya. This was extremely cool. Going from there, it moved on to basically taking my dad's cars apart in the garage, going to Home Depot, buying, you know, pipes and flexible hose, and going to Pep Boys and stuff and buying air filters and trying to make like ram air systems and try to get the intakes down to the bottom of the bumper so it could suck in fresh air. So one of my favorite cars my dad had when we were younger, obviously we didn't have exotics and stuff back then, but was a Mercedes-Benz 500 SEL. And this was like the first big Mercedes that he got himself, and he loved this thing. And he had it, you know, lowered on AMG wheels, and he had a crazy sound system in the back. And those cars back then, no traction control, big torque monsters, and you would just nail the, you know, pedal down to the floor and just light up the tires. So
he would just take us around everywhere, and we'd be late to basketball practices and whatever, school and everything, and you'd see that big boat just sliding around corners, and he'd throw that thing everywhere, and I'd watch him sit there and drift that big boat, and I'd always want to, you know, do it myself. Obviously, from then we got, you know, a newer S-Class and a 7 Series, and then my brother got older. He got a Volvo back then. It was a red Volvo. He had slammed it on CEC wheels. Klaus, if you ever watched this, we remember you from all the way back then. This is 1996. The car had a crazy stereo system in there with 15-inch jail subs. He used to throw us in the back seat of the car, and you could hardly breathe back there every time the bass would hit.
Here it is. Here's that Volvo, baby, on the CEC wheels, all red. Oh, look at this. This is the sound system that was in the Volvo. I told you guys, everything I tell you is real. I got proof right here. Look at that. That's the amps and everything hanging back in the day. Look where the hell this CD changer is. Look at the old school CD changer. This thing used to hold like, I don't know, like 24 CDs or something like that. Oh, damn. Look at the jails in the Volvo. Boom, boom, 15s.
Watching cars get modded, it started off me watching my brother modding his cars at, you know, 11 years old. It progressed from there because his next car after that was an E36 M3.
That's just on suspension before he did all the stuff to it. That's his best friend B's 300ZX. He still has this car in the garage, and it's exactly in this condition. It's brand new, dude. This thing's got no miles on it, and we always clown him like, yeah, dude, this thing's gonna just rot in the house. We gotta like take it out and redo it. And it's like, don't touch my car. I've been trying to buy this car off of him since I was a kid. He still has it in the garage just like this.
When he got that, I think I was about 13 years old. And that's when we started, you know, heavily getting into modding cars. Back then, KW coilovers still, and we had gotten an exhaust shipped all the way from Germany from G-Power, which is crazy, is because G-Power became our competitor for a little bit when we started Gintani. So we used to run a G-Power exhaust on that. It had a Quaife diff. It had a bunch of dyno upgrades, and it had a full Rieger body kit. We had Hamann PG2 wheels on it. That car was actually very well known. It was all over Hot Import Nights and all the events that we used to go to back in the day.
This is actually at Hot Import Nights. That's my brother's best friend, Tav. That's my cousin, Joe. That's my brother when it used to be his car.
So one of my coolest and best memories has to be the first time I actually drove. Growing up, I had a pretty cool aunt, my uncle's wife, my dad's brother's wife, and she was always the hip one, cool one, young. Whatever we wanted to do that our parents wouldn't let us do, we would always go to her. She had a E30 325E Hannah Red, which was actually my brother's first car ever when he got his license. It was manual, so we thought she was so cool, you know. She drove manual, and we're like, yeah, she knows how to drive and whatever. And since I was, I don't know how old, probably 5, 6 years old, I used to sit next to her, and she used to drive, and I used to shift. I'd put it in first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear. I'd downshift back to third, downshift back to second when she used to, you know, slow down to stop at lights. So I literally grew up sitting in that car. Back then, we could sit in the front. Nobody gave. We didn't have all these rules of a kid has to be in the back, car seat, this and that. So I used to sit in the front and just shift this thing nonstop, shift this thing. So one day we get into the street next to my house, and she's about to drop me off, and I constantly keep talking about, I want to drive. And she's like, you're too young, you know, we'll get in trouble. And I'm just trying to convince her, let me drive. So we get into our street, and she goes, okay, get out of the car. I'm gonna let you sit in the driver's seat, and I'm gonna try to teach you how to drive this thing. So I get out, I sit down, we're in this empty area, and I'm 9 years old at this point. I could hardly like reach the pedals. I put the seat front. We're about to roll out. So I obviously been watching her for years, press the clutch, release the clutch, and I've been playing with motorcycles forever. So I know the, you know, how it basically works with using it with my hands, but I've never done it with my foot. So I sit in this thing and put the car in neutral and press the clutch in, put it in first gear, and just slowly let go of the clutch, and I just roll away. And she's looking at me like, what the hell? You know what I mean? No stalling, no nothing. So dude, I got the biggest smile on my face. It's like I'm in heaven. Just get this thing into gear first, click second, go to third, and I just don't want to stop driving. But at this point, I'm a little kid, you know, I can't be in this car. So she keeps telling me like, we got to stop. And I just keep going around the block and just you know, I didn't want to stop, man. And the second I felt that rush of, you know, that car just releasing that clutch and just moving forward and me being able to control this thing and shift it, it was over. I mean, it was done. I mean, I was addicted for life. It was over. That's all I wanted to do. All I wanted to do was drive, and all I wanted to do was be in cool cars.
Look at all the shows we used to go to back in the day.
So you've been going to the LA Auto Show.
Yeah, this was my brother's friend's car. Back in the day, if anybody remembers Wheelpower, Wheelpower had built this car. Wheelpower used to be the distributor for Hammond back in the day. Hammond, whatever the hell you want to call it.
When I was like 13 and my brother was 16, his friends would come over and I'd take my dad's 560 Benz and take it up the street, wrap donuts, come back, and these guys would be watching me like, dude, what the hell is this 13-year-old, you know, doing? The funny thing is that 560 Benz ended up being my first car. I was probably not supposed to be doing any of that stuff. I don't recommend anybody who's at a young age watching this to do any of the stuff I used to do, but when I turned 16, that was my first car. It was a big boat, and back then I looked at that thing like a old Mercedes. At that point, you don't really realize how lucky you are to even be able to have a car, and you know, you don't appreciate the stuff that, you know, you're actually handed, which, you know, when you grow up you regret. But honestly, it was a hell of a car to be given at 16 years old, with all that torque and no traction control, and me being a complete lunatic of sliding around everywhere. I drove that car for about 1.5 years, and I was constantly wanting to get out of it because it was so big, and I wanted something a little bit more modern. And I kept, you know, telling my aunt back then, my cool aunt, she had a C-Class, and I kept telling her like, hey, come on, let me take your car. Tell my uncle to get you something else. From there, I ended up one day getting a phone call from my aunt, and she's like, come over, you know, I got a surprise for you. So I go over to their house, and you know, I walk into the house, and she looks at me and she goes, here, congratulations. And she hands me the keys to her C-Class. And I'm like, the hell? You know, the hell's this? And she goes, I convinced your uncle to get a different car for me, so this is yours now. So she gave me my C-Class, and right away I was like, all right, man, this is the car. It was stock. It had some hubcap looking wheels. It was all high, like a 4x4. And I was like, it was silver. And I was like, all right, this got to change. This got to change quick. I think the first place I went to was Charisma. I ordered suspension for that thing, and then I ordered Brabus wheels for it, and a Brabus front lip, and the little Brabus badge in the front, and in the back. Got it all painted one color, and then slammed that car on Brabuses and put a full kit on it, and it looked so freaking mean. I mean, we had so much fun in that car. It had no balls. It was a 4-cylinder, so it wouldn't move. So going from the 560 and being able to have all that torque and just jam it and get sideways, we didn't have that in that car. So what I used to do is I used to fly into right-hand turns or left-hand turns, and I'd literally go as fast as I can, and I'd pop it into neutral. I'd rev that thing as high as I can, and I'd just drop the gear into drive and try to make that thing kick out. And that was the only way I would be able to get it to kick out. I would just literally drop it in neutral, rev it, swing it, and drop it into gear, and it would get sideways, this little 4-banger C-Class going around the corners. And that's probably the car that started getting me into the most trouble I've ever gotten to with the authorities. So I think in my teenage years, I got over 100 tickets. I probably haven't saved every single one of the tickets, but I have a binder that's at home at my parents' house. I think it's still there. I'll try to go grab it so we can show it to you guys.
Here it is, man. This isn't everything, okay, guys? This is not everything. I wasn't joking when I tell you that I probably have the worst driving record you could ever find in your life. This one's awesome. Look at this one. Violation, accelerating to the point where the vehicle's tires lost traction with the ground. Exhibition of speed. I probably have at least like 30 of these for sure. Yeah, don't do this stuff, guys. I'm really honestly very lucky to be alive with how stupid we used to be. I don't recommend it at all. We've lost a lot of friends to car accidents and stuff. It's not funny. I just think we're showing you guys. Here's another one. Violation, acceleration, causing tires to lose traction. No front plate. What car is this in? This is in the Mercedes, the C-Class.
I think in that binder minimum, there's at least, I don't know, 30 tickets, 40 tickets just in that binder. I put it in there so I could show my friends like, hey, look how many tickets I have, which didn't lead to being such a great thing because I was literally suspended 3 times and actually revoked twice So when you get revoked, it's not like a suspension. When you get revoked, it's done. I mean, you basically don't exist in the system anymore as having a driver's license. So back then I had a lawyer that was in Glendale. His name was Mike. Thank you, Mike, for saving my ass so many times. And I'm sure you're thanking me for all the money we've paid you to actually let me have a license. These days we use Cam from Ticket Dismissers to take care of all that stuff. Cam's my boy and he takes care of all my tickets now, but I'm not as bad as I used to be. I've grown up, kids, trying to stay responsible and not keep the stupid stuff on the street. And after that car, it got even worse when I got my E36 M3.
Here's my E36 M3, and that's my boy Shaw's E30 M3. This picture was taken in 2002 in front of our old house. That's my E36 M3 on Commons, full Rieger kit. This car was unbelievable. I mean, it was at every single show, odd import nights and everything.
I got my E36 M3 senior year. At that point, my brother had that car for a while. It was already all done up. I mean, it was the sickest M3 out there. Everybody knew that car. And basically after the C-Class, my brother gave me the E36 M3, and that's when he got his E46 M3. The saddest part about the E36 M3 was it was my senior year in high school. I didn't have a license. I hardly got to drive that car to school. I think I drove it to school for a month and a half or 2 months, something like that. I tried modding it and doing all this stupid stuff and tried to wide body it and put a, Le Mans like GTR wide body on it and completely destroyed the car. I destroyed my brother's favorite car and I owe him one.
Damn, look at that. Young me at Hot Import Nights trying to be cool. Oh, dude, I missed my car, man. That's one car I should have never, ever touched in my life. And look, crazy, look. It's got a F1 Motorsports license plate on it. That's where I used to go take everybody and do my little side hustle. I used to sell stuff. Look at that. Look at my engine bay. It was so nice, so clean. Look at that.
And that's where I got into meeting a lot of people that own different shops. That's the first time I met Osh, which still is the owner of RMS Race Marquee Systems. Back then, Osh used to be one of the top contenders of building supercharger kits for these cars. So it was basically him, Active Auto Works, and ESS that were the main guys. I used to take my car to Osh to get some work done. That's where I started really getting into, wrenching on cars, trying to build my own parts and trying to mod stuff. From 15 years old all the way to, I think I could say around 18 years old until I graduated high school, I would always be a middleman and go pick up people's cars and go take them to different shops like F1 Motorsports, Charisma, OHC, and this and that. So I would pick up uncle's cars, friends' cars, and all the shops knew me. So I was this little kid who used to come in there and roll up with these cars, and they'd drop me off there, and I'd pick the wheels, I'd pick the suspension, I'd pick the body kit, and I'd pick all this stuff. I would take it to Power Trip to get a tune, I would take it to F1 to get an exhaust, I would take it to F1 to get wheels. I had a body shop that I would take the cars to get all the body kits and everything painted, and that's how I used to make money on the side. That's how a lot of this started, modding cars, that I could actually make this a business and a way to make a living. As you guys could tell, I was more of a hands-on guy. School wasn't really for me. My parents knew that. I attended an Armenian school. After 6th grade, I had a teacher there that convinced my parents that I have ADD, ADHD, and all the other stuff that you could mark down in a book, and that I didn't belong at a school like that, and I needed a special help and so on. So they pulled me out of that school and they put me into an American school, which was for kids with learning differences. And that honestly was probably one of the darkest times of my life. I didn't want to accept the fact that I had ADD or ADHD. I didn't think that was a problem. I was just in too many places at once, and I've always been like that. I'm still like that till today. Being put in a school like that really, had a big impact on me. People would come over and I would try to go and hide all the mail at home because it would say, my school's name, and underneath it would say like learning with a difference and all that kind of stuff. So I was put on Adderall, Ritalin, all that stuff at a young age. Even being put into that school and going through that and trying to have the extra help of, teachers or a different learning system, I didn't want it, man. It wasn't me. So I was never into it. And my parents could obviously realize that and see that I was a lot more creative just being on my own, trying to do my own stuff. And 11th grade, summer of 11th grade, I literally walked into my dad's office and I basically told him, listen, I know you're gonna hate this, but either you guys take me out of the school and put me back into my school with my friends, or else I'm not going to school. I'm like literally just not gonna go to school. You guys could drop me off every day and I'll just walk out. It took a little bit of convincing to let them have me come back to that school for my senior year, but after a few weeks of going there and meeting with the vice principal and having my parents talk to them and so on, they accepted me. It's not like I did any better in grades or anything like that. Never wanted to be in class, never wanted to do homework, never wanted to do any of that stuff. I just wanted to go out there and hustle. Like I was telling you guys, when I was 15, 16, I was constantly just trying to put wheels on people's cars and sell stuff like that. So while I was in school, I was trying to make deals. I would literally sell parts for cars. I would go to downtown on the weekends and literally go and pick up jewelry and sell jewelry in class. You know, in school, I would sell all kinds of stuff, man. I used to sell cell phones, pagers, all kinds of stuff.
These were also some of the cell phones I used to sell to people back in the day. If you guys remember these, the little Nokia 8890. Oh, look at that, man, another one. This was a sick phone, Ericsson. This was crazy back in the day. Got a camera in the back. Look at this thing. Oh, damn, another one. What's up? Nokia. Look at that. I have all these phones. I told you guys I wasn't lying when I was telling you I was slanging phones, man.
Senior year, got on the podium for our graduation to, you know, accept our diplomas, and everybody's up there, and they start handing out, you know, the little books with your diploma in it, and I'm standing there and I get mine and I open this thing and it's empty, and I'm like, where the hell's my diploma? You know, nobody's even telling me anything at this point. So whatever, they do the whole ceremony. Yeah, graduation. I throw my hat or whatever the hell we do, and we're celebrating like I graduated. Meanwhile, I don't even have a diploma in my book. So I walk up to the counselor and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, what happened over here? You know, why don't I have my diploma in here? And she's like, you know what? You didn't meet the curriculum for our school. You're missing 2 classes. You need to go to Valley College or community college, and you got to complete these 2 classes, and then you could come back here and get your diploma. And I'm like, dude, whatever. Okay. So we start going to Pierce College and Valley College, which are local community colleges over here. I start off going there with a bunch of my friends, and actually had a class with my girlfriend, which is my wife now. I did, I think, 10 units or something like that. I almost got her kicked out of class. Got a lot of other people in trouble. So I was like going to Valley College and Pierce every day and sitting in the class, and I was just like, dude, this is never gonna get anywhere. It's not for me. I decided I was gonna drop out. I wasn't gonna complete the classes to go get my diploma from high school. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to be something different. I wanted to make a name for myself. I wanted to create my own legacy, just like my grandfather did. The day I walked out of that college is the day that dream and that story started. I went home and I told my parents, like, hey, I'm done. I'm not going to school anymore. I'm gonna go buy Osh. I'm gonna join RMS, and I'm gonna start building cars, and I'm gonna work there for a little bit until I learn how to do this stuff, and I'm gonna put some money aside. I'm gonna invest into building my own company. And I think at that point, my parents had been through so much with me and the whole school stuff, and they could obviously see that it just wasn't panning out. My dad knew my love for cars and my passion to do all this, so he supported me and he let me start what it is today, Gintani. So in 2003, after walking out of community college, telling my parents that I'm not doing school anymore, I decided to walk into RMS, Race Marquee Systems. And I told Osh, hey, I want to start working here. I'm going to stop going to school, and I want to learn how to design product. I want to later on learn how to tune cars and do my own thing. So Osh knew me, he knew my passion, he knew how much I love cars, and he basically let me in with open arms. I started working there. I was wrenching on cars for a while. As I was working at Osh's, I was still doing my side hustle of doing, you know, selling wheels and doing this and that, and just accumulating money and putting some money together so I could start my own thing. In 2004, I decided that I wanted to branch away from the RMS brand. I wanted to start something different and start off my own company. So I went up to my dad, told him I had a little bit of money saved up, and obviously money that I had saved up would not be enough to start my own company. So I asked him if he could give me a little bit of a help. We decided that we were gonna go to Crevier BMW and we were gonna buy a little red 2004 Mini Cooper S, and we were gonna start making mini parts. And that was literally the first car that I ever went and bought for myself. It wasn't a car that was my brother's that was given to me or whatever. It was a car that I actually went and I bought for myself, which was a huge deal for me, you know? I brought it to Osh's and I told Osh, listen, I wanna start my own company. You know, we could partner. I'm gonna need your help. I wanna start doing Mini Cooper parts, and I already got the car and I wanna invest some money and start doing this. So he was all for it. My buddy Danny, which some of you guys might know him, Danny from Mini Corsa. My buddy Serge were also working with me at RMS. Me and Osh went to lunch, we sat down, and I started trying to come up with names for the company. We went back and forth throwing a couple names, and then out of nowhere I turned to him and I go, Gintani. And I'm like, Gintani. And he's like, that's amazing. Gintani in Armenian means animal. That's where the name Gintani comes from. We took Gintani and we changed it a little bit so it doesn't sound too Armal. So we put a little bit of Italian into it and wanted to call it Gintani. And it's not Gintani, guys, it's Gintani. And that's where the name came from. Sitting at a little restaurant, Pita Kitchen in Sherman Oaks, California, Gintani Mini Works. And that's how it all started.
Oh, this was sick. Look at this thing, the Schnitzer wide body. This thing was so sick back in the day. I was obsessed with this car. Man, I wish we could find one of these in perfect condition. It's something that I probably did in school. Oh, it's crazy. It is something that I did in school. And look, the first person who pops up is my grandpa. Oh, damn. The next thing that pops up is the cars. And look at that thing. This thing was sick. And again, another page. The next thing that pops up is my grandfather again. And this is the last building that my grandpa built before he passed away. He was in Turkey and he built this, basically it goes underground. It's a full jewelry mall in the bazaar in Turkey, in Kapalıçarşı. And it's actually named after him. If you go there, it's still there and it says Rococo on there. Oh, this is pretty cool. So we're gonna give you guys a whole nother documentary, okay? And I'm gonna try to say it right now while we're sitting here because there's pictures in my hand. We're rebuilding Paul Walker's race car. We're rebuilding Paul Walker's race car. And we're gonna do a full documentary on that. We have somebody who actually got the car from me. It's gonna be his car. He's somebody who deserves the car. He has two of Paul's other cars, and we're gonna start rebuilding Paul Walker's E92 M3. But the reason I'm even talking about Paul Walker right now is because of this picture. This picture was signed by Paul and given to me by Paul when he was shooting Fast and the Furious in Miami. He actually sat by me the whole way back on the plane to LA. We'll go more down memory lane with that, but I actually had he had given me two of these because one was for me and I kept it, and the other one was for my girlfriend back then, which is my wife now, and he had signed one for her and to Romina and stuff, and I had given to her. But it's crazy that it's still in here. My history with Paul is pretty crazy. We'll get into that when we start doing all that stuff, but it just fell in my hand, so I thought I'd share it with you guys real quick. Oh. This is one of my closest friends that passed away years ago. They actually passed away in this car, and it's crazy. I had gotten those Hammond's made custom for this car. We had them all re-drilled and stuff because they never made it for a B5 S4. I don't think anybody's seen a B5 S4 on PG2s, but yeah, man, this is pretty crazy. Fine, okay. So now back to the dock. So right now we're driving around in the OG 2004 Cooper S that started everything, and the car that basically started Gintani, which was Gintani Mini Works back then. We still have it, never sold it. A few years back, we put it all back together, and my dad decided to drive it here and there once in a while. When we first decided to put it back together and get it running again, we looked at the cluster and I think it had like 5,500 miles on it. 2004, now today it has 22,000 miles on it. It's still hardly anything. I don't think I'll ever get rid of this thing because, I mean, this is basically the history of the company. This is what started the company, so it'll always stay in the family. It's still got our famous water-to-air integrated intake manifold, which was like the first big part that we ever made as a company. I mean,
Back in the day, we used to think these things were quick. Right now, it's like slower than a bicycle. But you know what's so funny? We never replaced this. I used to shift this thing so hard that I used to break these like left and right, and this one's still broken. Feels like forever to get there. I drive these things now and I'm like, dude, I can't believe we used to think these things were quick. Me and Danny used to have this, and Danny had a blue one. And we drive these things all the way to Vegas and to the track, and like, we thought we were so cool in these things, but I think like 6 resonators under this thing, 2 mufflers, and we actually have one side of the muffler is a full 3-inch, and then it splits to 2 3-inch mufflers in the back. My dad was going crazy, so we literally capped one side of the muffler. So one whole side, when it splits in the back and goes to the muffler, it works as like a drone pipe.
That's sick.
They get so freaking loud. So it still drives awesome. I mean, the motor's nice and healthy. If you can shift it fast enough and, you know, no lift shift it, I don't come off the throttle when I shift this thing. So it's a pretty good transmission to be able to take it. Like right now, look. I don't remember the last time I beat the out of this car like this, but it's good to know that it can still handle it after this many years.
Well, the tire's breaking loose at second gear is crazy.
It torque steers. Fun car, man. Back then we were selling these intake manifolds with the heat exchanger, with all the water pump, the tank, everything. I think it was like $2,600, which is, I think, a joke for the intake manifold that this car has. And people used to say that it was too expensive, so we had a hard time selling them. Now, people call us till this day, asking us if we still have some or if we'll make it. The funny thing is I have like, I think 10 or 15 of them in a box upstairs just sitting, but I'm not gonna put myself through that. So I think we'll keep one intake manifold just to have any history and put it somewhere. And then when we're moving all the stuff, the rest of them, I'm just gonna take them and put them on a bandsaw and cut them in half and throw them in the trash can.
You want to give them out to maybe some fans or anything like that? Or sell them to fans?
Yeah, we could do something. I mean, they're all sitting upstairs. We have so many parts upstairs that we don't use.
Gintani garage sale?
Yeah. We have all our supercharger kits for the V8s and the V10s, and we're actually working on a deal with that. So everybody who always contacts us asking if we would sell them a V8 or a V10 supercharger kit, we don't do it anymore, but we have a group of guys that actually want to take all the molds and the brackets and everything and start offering the supercharger kits again. So hopefully that deal goes through and you guys could get the real good supercharger kits for your E92s and E60s and so on. Yeah, I'm not opposed to selling any of the molds or any of the stuff and all the designs and stuff to somebody if they want to do it, but it ain't gonna be cheap. They would save a lot of money buying it from us than trying to do it themselves. Since we're driving on the street, I thought I'd stop here and show you guys when Danny basically left and started his own place, which was the first time he started Mini Corsa. He actually started out of this shop. He had one lift in here and he was basically servicing cars in and out of here, and that's how Mini Corsa started. Let's keep rolling. So as we're driving through these streets, we keep bumping into stuff that I've talked about while we're sitting down. Right across us right here, where the Van Nuys courthouse is, and this courthouse used to be one of my top visited places growing up. So all those tickets I told you guys about, I would always have to come to this courthouse and try to fight them. I'm sure there's the judges still maybe working that suspended and revoked my license like 5 times. Of course, now I don't go to court anymore because I got Cam from Ticket Dismissers that just takes care of everything for me.
They really need to sponsor this.
Yeah, Cam, you really need to sponsor this series, bro.
This is a 3rd shout out.
Show us the money, bro. I know you got it, don't hide it. But here's the beautiful Van Nuys courthouse. Obviously, we're driving through the streets of Van Nuys, is where I literally destroyed every single day, and where you guys call the Gintani Highway, which we're approaching right now. Since 2004, actually before 2004 until now, we've been annihilating these streets of Van Nuys, and I'm pretty sure everybody's very happy that we're gonna be out of here real soon. We'll still be here. So if you're one of our neighbors and you're excited that you're never gonna hear from us again, sorry to say, that's not what's gonna happen, because we're still gonna keep the shop. It's gonna be a machine shop, so I'll still be pulling up here and there. I'll make sure to do some donuts, and I'll make sure to make some noise just to make sure that you guys know that we haven't left, and we'll always be there in the back of your minds. This is my street.
So Bill's Burger, baby.
That's Bill's Burger, guys.
It's an institution, right?
That place is ridiculous. That guy's been here in this area before there were even buildings or streets. It was like straight up dirt. I think he's 94 years old, 93 years old. But if you haven't had Bill's Burgers, come down Van Nuys, Oxnard, and go see Bill, have a burger. We should do an LA food tour. I could take you guys everywhere in LA for food.
Should we do like invite 1 or 2 subscribers and like just make a video out of that?
Yeah, we could do that. We could take him to St. Vincent's Deli in downtown. We could take him to Yucca's in Los Feliz. We could bring him to Bill's Burger. So many spots. We're gonna race that guy right now. Ready? Let's go. Ready? Let's race this guy. Like, what are these idiots doing?
That guy was a good sport about it.
Yeah, he was. He's chasing us, actually.
Oh, really?
Oh, he's coming after us.
You want to check out the car? Yeah. All right. Yeah? Yeah, we'll pull over somewhere.
This is pretty cool. We ended up getting pulled over by the guy we just tried racing. He's like, I want to check out the car.
Let's go, man.
How you doing? Alex.
Good, I'm John. Nice to meet you.
Well, I own Gintani. Modified exotic cars, Lamborghinis and Ferraris and
really?
stuff. But yeah, but there's the car that actually started the whole company in 2004.
Well, I just got this used one for my son.
Nice.
He just turned 17. He's getting his license. I got a good deal on this, so I got it for him. And I'm having fun finding out all about it.
Yeah.
I drive a Tesla.
Oh, okay.
But I'm like enjoying driving this thing.
Yeah, it's
and
fun.
It's nothing like this,
It's like
right?
a little go-kart. If you need anybody to service this thing and take care of it, go see our buddy Danny at Mini Corsa.
I just thought that was so funny that you pulled up. And
Yeah,
you're
we're like doing a documentary, and we're actually talking about this car and how it all started the whole company. And then we saw you, and I'm like, dude, we gotta mess with him real quick. And then it's like, oh, yeah.
This is wild. So, like, what did you do with this?
We bought this car in 04, and then we developed our whole air-to-liquid intercooler and stuff like that. This one's a supercharged one, so here, I'll show you. Yeah, I've had it since 04. So this was our main product that we basically built for these cars. So these cars had a intercooler that would sit up here on top, and they would get so hot, it would get heat soaked because it's supercharged. And there was no air. It was supposed to get a little bit of air in here to cool down the intercooler, but it would sit right on top of the engine and the intake manifold.
That's why they had problems.
So they had problems over, it would get heat soaked. So you would have problems, and then you would have power, and then you do like 2-3 pulls, and all the power would be gone. So we manufactured this. This has actually got a core that runs inside, and we got water that runs through it. So the water goes into that tank, and then it's got a heat exchanger in the front that's kind of like a radiator. So the water comes through the front, runs through that heat exchanger, gets cooled down by the air, and then goes in, runs through this core.
But you can't put this on a non-S.
It's not a non-S, no. It's got to be on the supercharged car. You want to go on a ride real quick?
Let's do it.
Not bad, huh? That was exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. All right. That was fun. Let's get back to the shop. Put this thing away. Here I am on the road again. Here I go up on the stage. So I don't think there's a better way to end this video. 20 years later, sitting at the same table, eating the same exact plate, half gyro, half beef with eggplant and tabbouleh. This is where the name was created. This is where we're gonna end episode 2. So see you guys on the 3rd one.